Today I'm talking all about recovery techniques for hikers. Now, you don't get fitter, stronger, or more resilient when you train. You get fitter, stronger, and more resilient when you recover from training. Now, this is an incredibly important distinction to make because many hikers out there are simply just doing way too much training and they're not really allowing their bodies to properly recover, repair, and adapt from week to week. And over the long term, this is really significantly compromising their progress and basically not allowing them to get all the potential benefits of all the hard work that they're putting in. So they're training their ass off, they're really going for it, but they're not actually getting all the potential benefits of all that effort and all that time and all that hard work simply because they're not allowing their body to recover in between sessions. And beyond this, if you take it a little bit further over the long term, this can lead into things like long-term fatigue, aches, pains. It can potentially affect your immune system and put you at a much higher risk of injury, all because you're just not recovering enough. Now, this is something really important to be aware of, and it's something that really need to be emphasized in the hiking community because many people tend to just skip over this and not really put much thought, much effort into it. So today I just want to dive into it a little bit and just list off a bunch of really simple methods that you can use during your week and over the long term to help aid your recovery between sessions, to help get the most out of your training sessions so you are adapting and repairing and getting your body fitter, stronger, and more resilient in the best way that you can. So all that hard work you're putting into your actual training is paying off in the long term. And so you'll know you're doing the right things day to day to really get the most out of this time. So right now, I'm just going to list off with a bunch of different things that you can add into your week which can help you. Now, when it comes to recovery, it doesn't have to be outrageously complicated, and it doesn't have to be outrageously spend a huge amount of time. Even doing something as simple as 5 to 10 minutes a day or a few times a week can really go a long way. So the techniques I'm going to list here are all ones that I've used myself or ones I use with my clients, and they're all ones that more or less everyone will have access to, and they don't really require too much thought. So number one, what I want to talk about is active recovery, which I have mentioned a few times in this podcast before. And active recovery is basically fitting in small segments of gentle exercise in your week to help get the blood moving around in the body, to help flush out any waste products and just help you recover between session to session. On top of that, they have the added bonus of them helping relax the body a little bit and take it out of this completely stressful situation if you're completely always training hard, and just help it chill out a little bit, activate a few different things in the body to help aid that recovery process. Now, active recovery can really be anything that's gentle and then anything that's sort of short period of time. But a few really good options are number one, which I absolutely love for hikers, and again, I've mentioned on this podcast quite a few times, is pool walking. If I've got a client who's doing lots and lots of hiking and lots of training and their legs are getting pretty sore, I will always ask them to try to find a pool and do some laps up and down of simply just walking. Now, what this does is it helps them get the blood moving. The pressure of the water does some relatively decent things for recovery, and if the water's cold, it adds an extra element there. And doing 10 to 15 minutes of this once a week or every couple of weeks can really go a long way. Now, another one very similar is swimming. So if you don't want to walk, you can just do some swimming and do whatever type of stroke you want, use any type of equipment you want. It doesn't really matter as long as you're moving. Now, one of the theories behind this is the pressure of the water is supposed to be very good for the muscles. You're moving and getting the blood pumping, but also because your heart is horizontal and it's not above the working muscles, apparently that takes a little bit less strain for the heart to pump blood around, so it's even gentler on the muscles and on the body. I don't know how much that really affects things in all honesty, but that's another important point to make, or another interesting point to make, I should say. So if you're doing 10 to 15 minutes of swimming once a week or every couple of weeks, that probably can be very effective. And the third option here, if you don't have access to a pool, is simply just doing a bit of cycling, either on a bike from the outdoors or on a stationary bike at the gym, and just doing a simple 15 to 30 minute session where you don't really get huffed and puffed. You just get the body temperature up a little bit, and doing that once a week or something can be really effective. But active recovery is something that most hikers probably should be looking at to be doing at least once a week or once every couple of weeks at the very minimum. Now, the second method here is pretty simple, is some type of massage. So if you're lucky enough to be able to get yourself in for a sports massage once a week, that's going to be absolutely amazing for your recovery. If you don't have that luck, or maybe not that heft in your wallet, you might be just simply looking at self-massage, which basically turns into foam rolling. And simply spending 5 minutes of foam rolling every single day can be amazing to help calm the body down, reduce aches and pains, flush out a few waste products, and just make it feel good. Alternatively, if you can't do 5 minutes every single day, maybe doing 10 minutes every few days, or at least doing it once a week and just spending about 15 minutes. This can be a really, really effective way of just helping the body recover, and it's so, so simple to do. And the next one's is doing some type of yoga or stretching. So simply doing stretching sessions for, again, 15 to 20 minutes, or doing a yoga class, again, can help calm the body down, can help relieve a little bit of aches and pains, and just help that recovery process go a little bit more. Now, hikers always ask me, should they be fitting in, like, they love their yoga, like, can they fit that around their training programs when they come on? And I'm always like, yes, absolutely. Do as much yoga as you want, because it's not going to stress the body out. It's not going to, take anything away from the training we're doing, and it most likely will add quite a bit. So have a think about that. Now, a couple of others which you might not have considered in this situation is simply doing some type of meditation or some type of breathing technique to help calm the body down. Now, this one isn't so physically going to be, helping flush out waste products or anything like that, but it can help switch the body away from what's called the flight or fight response, which happens when we're stressed or when we're training quite a bit and the body's ready to go and ready for action. It can help switch it into what's called the rest and digest response, which has a few different changes in the body, which can help that recovery process and can help de-stress you and can help everything calming down. And even just doing 5 minutes of meditation or 5 minutes of deep breathing once a day or every couple of days can really make a bit of a difference here. Now, if you struggle with meditation, a really cool app for this, which you can look into, is something called Headspace. Now, it's not so much meditation, but it's more mindfulness, but in our respects, it does exactly the same thing in helping calm the body down, just give you a bit of time away from all the stresses of life. Breathing techniques, you can do abdominal breathing, which I've talked about many times in this podcast. You can simply do like square breathing or literally any deep breathing technique. You can go into Google, type in deep breathing, and 100 different techniques will pop up. But spending 5 minutes a day could probably be something that will really, really effective. Now, for quite a few of my hikers, I'll often combine an active recovery session with a breathing session. So I'll ask them to go do a really gentle walk and simply concentrate on their breathing for 20 minutes. Or I'll ask them to do a gentle cycle and put on a little meditation app and just help them zone out. Now, you can put those two together pretty well enough, and it can make a bit of a difference. And then on top of this, you probably want to be looking at nutrition and hydration. So making sure you're eating enough through the week, and making sure you're getting enough water. So we don't want to dive in too much into detail on those, but as we talked about nutrition quite a bit in other podcasts. But as a general rule of thumb, you want to just be making sure you're getting a reasonable amount of protein through the day. So making sure you're having a serve of protein with your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then also making sure you're getting carbohydrates in some shape or form around your training sessions at the very least. And on top of that, making sure you're fully hydrated through the day. Those little tips there can make a massive difference to your recovery. And over the long term, it's something you really want to think about. And then the final thing that which often gets overlooked is simply sleep. Now that can be one of the most effective recovery techniques you can ever do, and making sure you get 8 hours sleep at night. If you can do that consistently, that's going to support your training so incredibly. Now, it might be the fact that if you're only sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night, or you're going through a period of high stress, you might not be able to recover properly from your training programs. So if you can't get that quality sleep, you might actually have to reduce the amount that you're training, so you're balancing things out the other way. If you can't actually recover properly, you might just have to reduce your training. Now, when it comes down to sleep as well, if you are training super hard, sometimes the 8 hours of sleep might not be enough. And some professional athletes are getting up to 10 hours sleep every single night, which I know is a bit of a luxury for many, many people. But if you can slip in an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes sleep here and there throughout the week or into your consistent routine, if you are training hard, that can make a pretty big difference. Now, this stuff should really be done week to week, so you should be able to choose one or two of those things and do 5 to 10 minutes of that a couple of times a week, or do 15 minutes of one of those things once a week. Now, it's really, really small addition, and sometimes it might feel like you're not getting the best use of your time, that you might be wanting to train hard, might be wanting to putting in sessions, but it really, really does make a massive difference. Now, for example, on this, every single one of my clients, I give a quick 10 to 15 minute recovery session, which I ask them to do every single week, either immediately after their hiking sessions or on days between their training. So this simply involves doing 10 to 15 minutes of stretching and foam rolling, which we go through more or less the entire lower body. And that way I can make sure they're getting in a little bit through the week. They're helping reduce those aches and pains, just aid their body as they come through. Now, for many people here, it's simply going to be not enough. And when it comes to particularly my mountaineering clients who are doing a much more training volume, or if you yourself are doing 2 or 3 hikes in a week, I'd probably put a bit more emphasis on the active recovery sessions. So for my mountaineering clients, I always prescribe them that they have to get in the pool, either for walking or swimming, or they have to get on a bike on the days after their big sessions, whether they're going for a run, whether they're going for a big hike, and it's just a non-negotiable in their week, because I know these recovery sessions can really, really be the difference between success and failure over long term for whatever training program. So I highly recommend you take something that I've talked about today and apply it into your week. Try a few of them out, see what you enjoy, but just try to apply it consistently week by week. Added bonus right now, if you are stuck at home and you are stressed over a number of things, it probably can help you deal with your stress a little bit, can help you sleep better, and can generally help you feel a little bit better overall. So I cannot stress how important all of this stuff is. Now, when it comes to it, everyone is going to be different with this. Everyone's going to prefer different things, but in all honesty, every single hiker out there will get benefits from adding some type of this into your week. So have a look at your schedule, have a look at what you're doing, take one of these recommendations and start applying it. And you will be surprised at what a difference it can make. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode today. Hope you've got a little bit of value out of it, a little bit of insight, and maybe it gives you a bit of the kick up the butt you need to start making some of this recovery stuff happen. As always, if you've enjoyed the episode, I would absolutely love if you could share it with another hiker, someone who might be struggling with their bit of stress at the moment, someone might be gearing up for a big adventure, or might be just getting into their training. I really, really appreciate helping you spread the love of this podcast and helping grow it a little bit. So thank you so much for listening today, guys, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.